comic book day. And thank you to Bad Mary for that too sweet play-in. Welcome all you four-color funny book aficionados. This is U.S. Comics Cast, Chapter 2, Episode 22. Two topics, 60 minutes for the people. Of course, I'm John Rivera, the CEO and co-founder of U.S. Comics. Charmed, I'm sure.
And that makes me your hybrid panda, the COO of U.S. Comics, the co-founder and your co-host for the most electrifying podcast in all of the multiverse, Charlie Boom Boom Rivera. What
Charlie,
is cooking, my
dropping
dude?
hints and Easter eggs and burying leads right and left. Burying leads like he was in the back seat of Henry Hill's car, and a certain somebody was in the trunk. Hey, you want a leg or a wing, Charlie? Dude, what's up, kid? Happy Comic Book Day.
Happy Comic Book Day to you, my friend.
Thank you,
know
sir.
what? I'm flying high. A lot of great comments off of last week's.
Do we have to take you to we got to take you to the clinic again? Come on, brother. It's getting pricey.
Not the weird, cheap one you guys keep sending me to.
Oh, my bad.
I want to go to one of them Hollywood rehabs. No, man, I'm doing absolutely fantastic. I'm still pumped about Highlander, but I spent the better part of my week arguing with people on Twitter because they were like, we don't need another reboot. I'm like, yes, we do. I just kept dropping the video on everyone. I'm like, watch this and be educated on why Highlander with Henry Cavill will rip. And it will rip, I assure you.
Yeah, you know, I don't have any doubts. But it's interesting that you mentioned it, almost like we planned this. There's been news flying around recently.
Yeah,
so there are certain shows, certain movies, certain adaptations, Highlander being amongst them, that I'm very much looking forward to. But there always runs the risk of disappointment. And one such project, it came to my attention. One such project that I was super excited about when it was finally released, man, was that a Thanksgiving late night wet fart. We're like, a little too much gravy on that one.
Terrible.
I just caught wind of that wet fart. I just caught wind of the fact that Jupiter's Legacy has been canceled by Netflix. Now, look, I feel like a lot of people were in my camp in terms of like their
disappointment,
reception,
wild
reception
disappointment of that cosplay horse shit that
Open
I managed
tears.
to enjoy.
Oof, my goof.
That was work. That was one of those times I was like, I will fucking like you, whether you're good or not. It was every relationship I had in high school and college. Rest in peace, the 23 Stephanies that I committed parts of my life to. Sorry, ladies. You know I still love
I'm
to
just
not...
watching this show to raise my profile as I'm walking to classes.
But
Can we make out at the locker? Jupiter's Legacy?
You know, my big my fear is, of course, that like that property is now gonna sit. It's just gonna collect dust because
they specifically noted that it's canceled for shizzle, but it's not like it wasn't taken behind the shed, shotgun to the back of the head, old Yeller style. No, they're reworked. I think that was the corporate term.
We're gonna try to de-shitty this amazing property.
Well,
like, how fucking hard is it? You take source material, you make it. Like, it's fucking the greatest setup ever.
If anyone can show you how it's done, Marvel can show you how it's done. I mean, the poor Eternals. It's a good thing the Eternals never die. Because they're like, no, that sucked. Let's do that shit again, yo. They were like, they're completely just pretending like it didn't fuck. They're pulling like a Darren on Bewitched. We're like, wait a minute. These guys don't look the same. Like, no, it's the same. Don't worry about it.
It's the same. Everyone, shut your mouths. What's funny though is in the House of Mouse, as it were, now that Gina Carano's out, I think that's how you say her name. Now that she's out of the Star Wars universe because she was questionable on Twitter, they're like, Fuck that whole show. Like we're putting that entire show
Oh,
that
the
they're like we're gonna rework that. Went behind the shed, put a nice fucking bullet in its head.
they're
That
like,
thing is
no,
dead.
we're taking that show up to like there's a farm up in the upstate. The show can run around, and it'll be really it's gonna have other Star Wars shows that it can play with and
It's gonna be with
be
that
happy.
it's gonna be with that awesome video game that never got made, but it like was all the way fucking produced. They were like, nah, it's too good. We're not doing that. We're still EA.
Yeah, no, like
Um,
sorry, I'm getting messages.
no worries. Is it
Yeah,
all just
no.
like God? Your
Well,
brother looks so good on this amazing show.
and I'm like, no, this is John. You're trying to text Charlie, I think. No, yeah, well, even that, like, basically the way that I read it, and maybe it's my optimistic, stupid nature.
Yeah,
But it
probably.
was like, it was just that, like, it wasn't currently in development, meaning that, like, it's
Which is
not
the really
dead.
nice, yeah, but it is though, because a big part of making a show is money plus script plus cast plus cameras. And they were like, we're just not going to get any more scripts, people, cameras, and also we've burnt the old scripts and props. That shit's dead as a doorknob.
You think? No, I bet we still see it. It might look different. It might not have
Do
the
I?
same characters that we thought it was going to
Is
have.
the question
but
going to be?
I think
Is there
it'll
going
see
to
the
be
light of
another
day.
Star Wars show? Sure, and I hope it stars a
No,
muscular.
specifically the Rangers of the New Republic.
I think it's going to
it
be
will.
but the Power
It
Rangers
will.
of the New Republic are
'Cause
more
don't
likely.
forget, don't forget, Filoni is like in charge now. So
That's true.
what my little nerdy son of a bitch says goes.
That's accurate. The big ridiculous news, though, at least for me, was the fucking Warner Brothers acquisition.
Oh yeah,
Like,
see you
I
throwing
keep
around
calling
these,
it an
these
acquisition because I have no faith.
commercial corporate terms, dude. It's a merger. It's a
I
merger.
feel like that's when two people get married and then like they take a last name that only one of them started with. But like it's a merger. That's right. That's right. Second class
Except
citizens.
that in this case, they're just literally taking both of their names and just smashing it together.
Oh my
Like,
God!
smashing it together like Princess Vespa doll and Dark Helmet doll. Like, yeah, this
I
is what
told
we
you
are
to
now.
knock before you came in here. The fucking lack of clever naming is already upsetting. Well, okay, so
mean-
Warner Brothers and Discovery are joining up. What should we call it? The first guy drunk from a fucking night of partying goes, "How about Warner Brothers Discovery?" And they said yes.
Not
Greenlit.
even. It wasn't even a suggestion. Like, they're like, oh, so what are we gonna call the new Warner Brothers Discovery Company? And he was like doodling. He was drawing like Princess Leia naked. He was like, Warner Brothers Discovery. They're like, oh shit, that's a great idea. He's like, I just didn't hear what you said, bro.
recognition. Brand recognition. My favorite part is their catchphrase, their tagline with their old timey font that they were like, remember when stuff was good and optimism existed? And I was like, no, motherfucker. I seen Superman 4. Optimism died when I was a child. The stuff that dreams are made of. This shit might be a pyramid scheme. That sounds just corny enough to be bullshit. Warner Brothers Discovery. First of all, my dreams are made out of stuff I can't mention on the podcast. It's just cold blooded. No, but sincerely, for me, this kind of new day brings up way more questions than it does like excitement. Like I no longer
interesting.
have the ability. This is not like when Marvel was picked up by Mickey. It wasn't like this I don't read as good news. It's just news. So like right out of the gate, my big fear is what's going to happen with the comics. That's my what do you think anything? Do you think we're living in a world where you would go to your comic shop and not see DC proper?
No, I don't. I mean, there's a few reasons for that. Like just the very boring business acumen about it is that DC Comics, paper and digital, they do sell, right? So that's not part of like the business structure that's in trouble, so to speak. The way that I read it, it was really just the media right? In their acquisition, I am optimistic about it. I'm cautiously optimistic about it because, again, I feel that the comic books themselves are not going to be, they're the
Affected.
baby in the proverbial bathwater, so to speak. And it's more so on the creative, visuals and the movies and TV and
Well, what do you
whatever they come up with.
let me throw out
Yeah,
something because it's something I read on the
just throw it right
heels.
out.
I'm gonna throw it out like that dirty baby with its bathwater. I I was reading that some people or some analysts or some insiders are now suddenly concerned with both Marvel and DC going into the world of the multiverse. Suddenly,
Hmm.
this talk has reemerged about brand confusion. So there's some people that are saying kind of the only way for the DC films to really get momentum behind them is
Hmm.
to get rid of the current TV product because it's been around long enough. It has a legacy. They're talking about Flash might be wrapping up because, again, no one, for the most part, no one but me and probably you would want to be on a show for 15, 20 years. Like, but I would. Like, you need a new fat vibe. Call me.
I'll be like, nah, I want to direct. There are other passion projects that I want to be involved
I would
with.
want to direct my own show because I would want like a show just where I'm like not in it a lot, but I still
You
show up to
just
get my
want
full rate.
that one like behind the scenes commentary, like Charlie actually directed this episode, and
And like you could tell because the camera's all shaky, be like he insisted upon no crew. He duct tape a boom mic to himself. What do you think? Do you think there's any legs to that? I know you're
no,
not the biggest TV fan of the DC product, but it's impossible to
DC.
argue its popularity is immense.
It's again, it's all relative though, because across the board, because there's so much material out there to consume. Ratings are they're not like what they
Yeah, yeah.
were,
You get a million
even
people, there's
10, 15
parades being
years ago.
thrown.
Of course. So like it's popular relatively, right? You have streaming services which are under no obligation to even tell you how many people actually watch the damn
And
thing.
if you're Netflix,
So,
they're like, nah, we're not telling you shit.
well, or they're like, it was really good, bro.
I love
What
that
were the
Bobby
numbers?
Bottle Service.
Nah, just trust us. It
Bobby
was
Bottle
really
Service
good.
is in charge of all streaming
Yeah.
services.
Well, honestly, he might be the mouthpiece for for viewership to like just get any fucking dum dum that you come across. Like, hey Bobby, you got something? They asked for you by name. Um. So yeah. Ultimately, honestly, I think that it's gonna be much to do about nothing. I
Oh,
think we're really
that's a
not.
shame though. That's
Well,
bad.
mm,
Like
it
you
depends.
like
It depends. It's bad in terms of there are people out there who shall remain nameless, Charlie Rivera, who want DC as much as they poo poo the Marvel product. They want DC. That person who's wearing a blue shirt and glasses and shirt that says Hyperband on it, they want DC to do what Marvel's doing, to have this long form storytelling
God, yes I
across
do.
across decades of time. And you would think that something like this would make that process more possible, because obviously with what DC has done prior to this in the movie theaters, it's just not it's obvious that they were trying to do that, but there was a misstep, to be kind.
Yeah, they
They
just
missed it.
it
They missed
again.
it right off the fucking cliff and like, yeah, and ended up in the fucking reel.
Yeah, it has always struck me as like it's just such an elephant in the room that you have Marvel doing so well
Hmm.
and DC's like people rightfully in my opinion didn't like Bloodshot. Like that was a huge
Oh, it's terrible.
disappointment. It was supposed to launch the Valiant cinematic universe, and it's just such a misstep. It's such a bit of a fumble. They are like, oh shit, the other team got to score all over Valiant, but it was like small enough. With DC, it feels a lot like the little giants, like a peewee team, is playing the actual giants, and it's like 163-0, and it's just like, oh, but the first Wonder Woman was great, and it's just like, oh my god. And part of me wants
Yeah.
like someone like Tony Khan and the Khan family to buy like to buy now Warner Brothers Discovery, just so that they can be like, we're gonna do a thing in order, and we'll adjust as necessary, but not. I don't know, man. This patchwork system, even with the multiverse, it just scares the absolute hell out of me.
But again, here we are in 2021, right? We've been getting this content piecemeal anyway,
Yeah,
right? So when Superman the movie comes out, there it wasn't it didn't require an extended universe in order to be awesome. The Michael Keaton Batman movie, when it came out, it didn't require all these other things. Now, that being said, even the Marvel movies that came out pre kind of pre this cinematic dominance,
yeah.
um
Blade.
those movies also didn't require anything extended. I'll give you even something more recent, Deadpool. Right, so
Yeah,
Deadpool came out as like just Deadpool was that baby that swung himself or herself out of the universe, just clinging on like bit that shit with his teeth, started running around, smacked the doctor's ass, and then smacked him in the face for looking at him naked. Like Deadpool hit the ground literally running and didn't require anything from anybody else. And the matter of fact, they're like, you know what? I'm gonna take this fucking mutant and I'm gonna take that shit, and just did, kind of just did what the character wanted to do. So I don't think that not having tentacles into the other parts of the storytelling uh, is a disservice. It's different, it's different than what Marvel is doing for certain. And if you love what Marvel is doing, this like long form storytelling, that's great because Marvel's going to keep on doing it. But it doesn't mean that any other properties that are out there that don't approach it that same exact way are anything less than. That's just, my
no,
opinion.
it's a good point. I'm gonna actually kick into our comment section. We have a great statement that I'm gonna turn into a question. Let's see if you agree with the John. I've always said you're a man of the people. Let's see if you agree with this person.
Oh,
So coming from our boy Stan, I think WB didn't really care about the DC property as a whole. They picked at it like a little kid who didn't want to eat everything on their dinner plate. I'm gonna turn that into 2 points because one, I completely agree with that ideology and that sentiment. Do you think that Warner Brother was always a little bit shy to kind of go beyond like Batman, Superman, and maybe that fear prevented them from like enjoying what a universe can become by adding in things? Because again, you talk about DC movies, you can't say like they're all bad. That's bullshit. Chris Reeve and Superman, those two movies are still among a lot of people's absolute
there's
favorites.
standard. That's
The
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 standard.
Batman and Batman Returns, still to this day, people have a cult like love, and I think rightfully so. If it's a movie that resonates with you,
The
it
Dark
it
Knight
certainly
trilogy.
should. The Dark Knight trilogy, at any of these points, you could have, off the back of Dark Knight, instead of doing a film that kind of felt like it, you could have been like, Batman 4 and fucking Robin's here. Batman 4 and oh shit, Lois Lane's a reporter. Like, you could have at any point spun off of them proper. Why? I'm going to completely rephrase our comment section. Say,
All right.
do you think, what do you think prevented them from fully embracing the universe they had access to until they saw
You
Marvel make
know,
a shit ton of money?
it's conjecture at this point,
Of
but
course. It's the main thing
um,
we do here.
there are a few things, a few factors I think that contributed. Um, Most recently, they tried to do that because in much the same way that that our boy, the other famous John Jon that's floating around there, um, Iron Man was the cornerstone. It was like It's what the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe as we know it is based on. So the movies that followed, in very much the same way that the Dark Knight trilogy did for DC, affected how those movies looked, their pacing, their tone, everything that happened afterwards. And obviously, again, there's always going to be exceptions to the rule, but for the most part, Marvel movies used Iron Man as kind of like the standard, right? And DC very much, in my opinion, attempted to do that with the Dark Knight trilogy. The problem is the Dark Knight trilogy was conceived of as a trilogy. It was never intended to be extended upon. Matter of fact, our the person whose name gets thrown around here more than mine or yours, Zack Snyder, said as much that like he literally wanted his Superman to exist in the Dark Knight trilogy's world, and that would be like the jumping off point, which is like maybe the worst idea since Guido shooting first. It's fucking terrible, terrible. So instead, because they were like, no, you're not allowed to do that, you music video maker. But you know, if you want to set the tone, the entire DC extended universe tone to be that way, you can go ahead and do that. And while you're at it, you can use the Superman sequels to really be introductions to all these other characters who we're now going to build up towards a half-ass, half-baked Justice League movie, which nobody's going to like, no matter which version.
Am I just out of my fucking mind then? Is this really just an example of like one very long, drawn-out miss? Am I just suffering from like Man of Steel wasn't what I wanted and it just kind of got worse, minus completely offshooting? So that makes a lot of sense. But
how often do you sit down to dinner, you tie the napkin around your neck, you're like ching 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 with a knife and fork, and then you're like ready, you order up from the menu, oh, I'm gonna have a Superman, I'm gonna have a Batman, I'm gonna have some Wonder Woman, maybe even some Flash and some Aquaman, and then you get your appetizer, the thing that's gonna kick it all off, and it sucks. It just disappoints you to no end, where you're like, well, it's a la carte. So I'm going to finish. And how often has it been like, well, that appetizer stunk on ice and the wine might have been bad, but you know what? The main course, that was great. That doesn't happen.
No,
right?
It started down the wrong path, worse.
And it got rockier and rockier and rockier. But what I think is the direction that DC is going now in the not requiring everything to be connected, I think that that's going to suit them. And more to the point, I think that the Warner Brothers new situation, Warner Brothers Discovery, I think that what they've discovered, hey-oh, segue machine, what they've discovered is that it doesn't require a Brady Bunch, everybody living in one house type of scenario for it to be entertaining. Fucking Joker is one of those movies, dark as shit. I'd rewatch it anytime that it's on. I really would.
That's, again, I don't think you can ask for much more than that. And again, you always have this beautiful bubble of multiverse. Like if you did have someone that you wanted to give a bite at the apple, perhaps two really good looking, but like one's fat and one's thin. We don't know any famous duos that were comprised of that sort of dynamic. One's this fucking loudmouth idiot. The other one's a suave motherfucker. I'm just saying, like, maybe they're both wearing blue and have a cool podcast.
As long as I keep on being the good version and you're the doodle version, this could be the whole show, bro.
Fair enough. I'm cool with that. But you know what? If we kept going about the whole show as if I was the doodle version, we would be liars. Just like one George Lucas.
George Lucas, you son of a bitch, you're a liar. And why? Because Han shot first. Clink, clink.
Clinky.
Knock it back.
Oh, I should have mixed it with something. Oh.
Good Lord Almighty.
Woo!
I've taught this pandemic has gotten two good things have come from it. I learned how to make an old fashioned, and I learned how to make guacamole. Why don't I mix myself an old fashioned and sip that son of a bitch like Don Draper? Instead, I come up with a shot that burns the butthole. Son of a bitch.
Coming and going, my dear brother. You are up first Are you ready for me to start your
You know what,
time?
Charlie? Do me and everyone watching and listening a big favor. Start my clock.
I started, sir.
All right. So it's fortuitous that you actually brought up the dueling DC and Marvel cinematic universes because in my extreme boredom, I ended up doing a mini Marvel marathon. Mostly because we were just talking about this before. There were certain things that I did want to do around the place, but I didn't want to watch anything that like I kind of had to pay attention to.
Well,
I've
well, let the
seen.
people know the heartbreaking. You hit me up and you're like, give me
Oh
something to
yeah,
watch. And I really thought about it. I gave you different
he's doing
options. I
schematics,
literally like set out this
red
beautiful.
yarn. He's
I
like,
look like
if I do this.
I look like Charlie Day from fucking It's Always Sunny, just with the fucking smoking. And you're just like, haha, I didn't listen to anything you just fucking said. Instead, I'm going to watch some shit I already love and clean up my goddamn apartment. That's what you did with like your only Monday off ever.
To be fair, again, I didn't clean the apartment because the apartment was clean from the day before. It was more like a rearranging of
Fair
things.
enough.
But that being said, I I ended up putting it on, right, and then like every once in a while, I'm like, oh, this moment, let me catch this, let me catch that, and I actually got through a fair chunk of flicks, and I'm like one of these guys that like I get once I get the flavor of something, that's what I'm all about. So I actually started. I picked up some digital back issues of Marvel comics that I hadn't picked up in a while, or like
Nice.
that maybe when they came around, I kind of skimmed through, and I had one of those. What is it that Smee said in Captain Hook's cabin? I had an apostrophe. No, I had an epiphany, and I realized that Marvel has a lot of things going on. That's to say the
It's like a
least.
busy dance card.
And to say that one of the big differences, in my opinion, the biggest difference between Marvel and DC is that Marvel got a wide cast, and DC's got a lot of characters, but like in reality, there's probably only maybe 2 dozen that matter, so to speak. Marvel's universe is actually even bigger than I realized because the fucking South Park universe is part of the Marvel universe. South Park
What?
exists
No, it
in
doesn't.
Marvel.
What are you
It
talking
does.
about?
So I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna end up posting links. So if anybody wants to
Oh
follow me,
no.
this will be similar to my ET was a Jedi theory. But if you recall, during the most recent Skrull invasion, one of the things, like when the big reveal happened, they showed you like, scrolls are everywhere. Look, they're this celebrity, this newscaster, this, and they kind of scatter a bunch of photos that are apparently of like celebrities in the Marvel world, and they're like, that's a scroll, this is a scroll, this, and secretly scrolls. One of the pictures that they throw out is very fucking clearly Eric Cartman. So he's just sitting like, man, man.
What?
He's sitting there, and it's clearly Eric Cartman.
What do you
So
mean? They
what
have like
they're
a
telling
live
us,
action Eric Cartman?
they no,
It's
not
like
live
straight
action.
up a cartoon.
Again, it's in the comic book, but it's so you have like these pictures of like, oh, newscaster, oh, movie, person at a premiere, and then like it's one of the pictures that's under the other picture, so you don't see it complete. It's not like front and center obvious, but it's so obviously Eric Cartman, and it's drawn in the South Park style, big round eyes, oval head.
I am
It's
fucking
Eric Cartman.
furious that Matt Parker and Trey Stone have
Well,
grown their brand to the point where they have invaded Disney by way of the Marvel comic books.
dude, they've
Holy
invaded.
shit.
They just started a Comedy Central. Then they proceeded to take over movie musicals. because even Sondheim said that Bigger Louder is like the best movie musical that he had seen in decades.
Bigger,
He took
longer.
he took they took Broadway over. Like they can literally do anything. So the fact that they're like, oh, we're just gonna do our shit
We're
to
also
comic books.
Skrulls, which makes total sense for Matt Stone. I could see it. Trey Parker and Matt Stone being
Charlie,
Skrulls.
get that red thread out. We're gonna do a new conspiracy theory and prove this mother sucker true. But in any case, that also got me into thinking like, I love South Park. Let's go ahead and we'll go down that
We're gonna
rabbit hole.
segue into
So
the South Park machine.
Marvel movies to Marvel comics to South Park, and now I have this realization. It's more of a thought because this has I ruminated over this in the past. Trey Parker and Matt Stone have this ability. Well, actually, they have two abilities. Charlie and I would laugh about this often after we would catch the most recent South Park. Uh, we would talk to each other, and the conversation would always be, they're trying to get fired. They want to get thrown off the air. They must have some secret clause in their contract. They're obviously attempting to be banished. Like Napoleon, they want to get banished to an island because, like, oh, we took over France again. Sorry about that.
One day there's going to be a biopic about them, and
Yeah.
it's going to make the fucking oh god, who's the radio guy?
They made it. It's called basketball.
Well, that's true
Come
too.
on, bro.
Who's the fuck? Not damn it, not Opie and Anthony, but the guy they always tried to fight against. Help me. He has curly
Howard
hair.
Stern?
Howard Stern.
How do you not remember Howard Stern's name?
Because
you Booey motherfucker,
it's been like a decade since he was relevant or funny. That's
He's
right.
amazing.
Coming for you, Stern.
Oh my god.
But remember his movie Private
Howard,
Parts?
that was Charlie Rivera, not John Rivera. I love you.
There's going to be a Private Parts style movie about Matt and Trey just being like, yeah, let's totally get whole countries to want to ban us. They are so goddamn funny.
Oh man.
They
got
give
Winnie
a fuck
the
less.
Pooh canceled in China. Like they don't fuck around, bro. They don't kid around.
Unbelievable. And it's that sort of like those enormous balls. That's what makes them so good. Like they've had one season that I was like, oh, maybe it's like time to wrap it up. And then the season after, they were like, enjoy laughing your
And
bag
not even
off.
that, because there were people. Now, Charlie Town might have been under a particular heavy gray cloud during that season, because I got news for you.
Touche.
They're all straight bangers as far as I'm concerned. But that all being said, there was one particular episode. And again, this was one of those similar situations. I'm like, oh, I'll just throw it on, and I've seen them all.
30 episodes later.
Yeah, I'm like, hee hee hee. So, the focus actually was more so on a secondary character, and basically it was like a very meta episode, and it was like, you fucking four idiots. Don't you realize that you make all these terrible things happen to you? Like it's you're right. Terrible things happen to you, but also as well as copyright patent pending, Bobby Bob Bottle Service, Nick Kroll. Also as well as you make this happen. Don't you understand? I don't know if you remember specifically, but it was the episode with the I think it's the Peruvian wind instruments that like they used to be all over. Like, they always used to be in malls, and like people always used to gather around. It's like, and they're like, oh, we've got one of 5 CDs you can buy, but like all 5 CDs, like, and they're like, there's somebody in the background, and it always sounds exactly the fucking same. And again, it was just very meta, and they were like giant fucking not gophers, but they were giant like some kind of giant rodents walking around. There was hell to pay in the episode, granted. But that's actually what inspired my choice of the Mexican calendar T-shirt today. But I realized that these guys, they have their superpower again is not being fired. No matter what they do, they'll have giant fucking satellites coming out of butt cheeks, and they shit all over celebrities, like to their face. They do whatever they want to do. They shit on entire governments. But their superpower is that they get away with it,
Yeah,
right? So,
hundred
and
percent of the time.
they don't do it to shock. They don't do it to titillate. These fucking guys are the prime example of something that Charlie and I, mostly I, talk about on a constant basis. If you're telling a story, and I don't care if it's a comedy or a comic book or an action movie or a TV show or whatever the hell, it's a bedtime story, whatever. You're trying to talk yourself out of a speeding ticket, whatever, right? Every story that you tell, you should be telling for a reason,
Yeah,
right? So
ideally.
they're not telling, no, not ideally, always, 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 always. When's the last time you told a story?
Like literally all the time when
Any
you tune
fucking
me
story.
out. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I wasn't listening to that one. Like, when's the last time you told a story that somebody listened to?
Last week's episode maybe.
All right, and you were doing that. Why?
To entertain and also to get people to join me in the celebration of Henry Cavill
Right,
as
right.
fucking
The
of a cloud.
entertainment was a side effect. The
Correct.
entertainment was the chocolate coating on top of the broccoli that you really wanted everybody to fucking ingest. So these guys, every episode, they're giving us something of value. They're feeding us nutrients. And the funny thing about it is it's so obscene and it's so ridiculous and it's so over the top that shit sneaks in, bro. It sneaks in. They just recently did like the pandemic special, and they did an episode where like Cartman is kind of running around trying to avoid shots, and like these are not exactly thinly veiled references
Yeah.
to what's going on around us. But
This
if you
last couple
watch,
years were pretty overt.
they were like, "Hey, PC principal, pay attention, dum dum." Yeah, no, they were pretty in your face about certain things. Where like if you had to do a book report about, like, well, what they were trying to teach me in this episode was like that after the episode GI Joe / He-Man moment. We're like, what did I learn today? That's what they're doing. That they just never stopped. I love
Yeah,
them.
and what's great about it, and it is something you and I privately talk about a lot, is
Yeah,
always just having a why. Like, again, a cool visual is a side effect of a cool action beat, which is part of a narrative that we're trying desperately to say something. And sometimes it's just taking something that's commonly accepted and putting a spin on it and trying to show it from a different point of view. We talked about it last week a bit, or a couple weeks ago, that by virtue of making a character that's traditionally white a different color, that's a tool used to kind of talk about perhaps race, or at least ideally will be a
of
way to talk
course.
about race in a
You
unique
know,
or new
it's a
way.
it's a very good point. Again, Charlie, I joke that I'm the Segway machine. Charlie, under that T-shirt, he's got another T-shirt that says Segway fucking master. Um, so very recently, the Tulsa massacre was in the news. Right, we just had the anniversary, literally like hours ago, and they were talking about like the aside to that was there are people, a good many people, who have no idea what that is or what happened, or for the fact is that it was real, because the most recent like reference to it came in a fucking superhero show in the Watchmen TV series on HBO. They make, they don't just make reference of it. It's a very integral part
Yeah.
of the plot. But like that's one of those things where people who are not necessarily as educated in kind of like the going ons of history, that's not taught to us ad nauseum, like wait, that was real, that was the thing
Yeah.
that actually happened. And if I'm not mistaken, they even referenced it in the in the fucking Cthulhu series, whatchamacallit. But again, that's
Yeah,
the reason why, like, you have when you're telling a story, there's got to be a reason why, and everything else around it is dressing. The fact that it entertains, the fact that that it's cool to look at, the fact that it gives us water cooler conversation, that's really bonus. And that's one of those things where, like, yeah, you need that. Otherwise, it's just a couple of dummies standing on a soapbox. And I've heard this before, and I'm sure you'd agree. I've heard, like, in reviews or kind of like the way that certain things have come in, and even in like the mighty Marvel has even had this, like, oh, I feel like they're getting too preachy.
In a universe that Captain America exists in, they were mad that Falcon and Winter Soldier was political. You know what I mean?
I
Our
don't know that it was
amazing
mad. I don't think mad is the proper term. It was like people,
blind to it.
people again, like, to use the dinner analogy again. Analogy.
Damn it!
You got your plate.
That's what your undershirt says.
Yeah, it's actually my underwears, but I don't want to show it off to the camera. People, it's like a self-serving. They put on their plate what they're like. Okay, this is what I'm gonna have, and there's some like really tasty stuff, and there's some stuff that I know is good for me, and there's like also some corn, so I can shit pretty good. But then, like, you sit down and you're like, this is my plate. This is what I'm comfortable with. And then if you feel like somebody comes over, looks at your plate, is like, nah, son, and just starts plopping down some more broccoli that you didn't ask for, you fucking get like irritated. Not 100%. Angry. I don't think it's angry. I feel like people are like, I didn't really ask for this broccoli. But if you have somebody like Trey Parker and Matt Stone who come over, or Mel Brooks, like, if you want to do like the OG version,
lesson
was like, here's some cheese sauce for that broccoli, and like, oh yeah, hook me up. I didn't even see the cheesy broccoli bits. Hook it up, and then they realize, like, racism is bad, or whatever the ultimate point is, because it's not always about a racist thing. It's all kinds of issues.
But also, like, I love our ball busting chat, because I love him to death, because our boy Chris dropping in trying to be hilarious that the Ghostbuster Ladies was an awesome movie. Now, but actually, Chris stumbled.
That comment was actually the funniest thing to do with the Ghostbusters, the 2016 Ghostbusters at all.
But sincerely, it's accidentally a fantastic addition. So, Chris, I appreciate your ball busting ways, because that movie clearly set out at every turn outside of the film. People had a fucking field day talking about, like, there's a famous picture of the 2016 Ghostbusters production staff, and it's a lot of ladies, and fucking awesome. Awesome. I'm pro chicks doing shit. Make me more films. But that movie had nothing hidden. That soapbox was exclusively like, look, they're girls. Huh? Whereas you have something that when it's...
I wouldn't know. I've never seen it.
When it fires... You're smart. When it fires on all cylinders, when Matt and Trey make a point for the most part, you leave knowing the point. When X-Men was created, which is clearly a story about gay people trying to find like a new family together. They're different. And again, it's not just gay, it's anyone who's ever felt.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's
different.
Any group that's been marginalized, that's been pushed to the exterior. And you can really say that about most things that Stan Lee. This is, and I profess I'm obviously US Comics first, but like, I'm a DC guy, and Charlie's my baby brother. Maybe just like he fell off of me and just started growing. I'm like an octopus. Like, I lost a finger and it grew into a Charlie.
I was the twin
at or about 10 years old.
I was the twin you thought you ate, but there was just enough of me left that a bunch of years later I popped out.
I've never had much of an appetite.
What's the haps?
It comes back and haunts me. But Stan Lee, you can never take it away. He is the fucking king, because he conceived these characters, and if you look at when they were conceived, a lot of them in the early 60s, there was like social there were social movements. You turn around too fast, you bump into another one. There were all kinds of social things going on. Be it civil rights, be it women's rights, be whatever the case, ageism. Like, there were all these things going on. So Yeah, he has characters like the X-Men. He's got characters like Peter Parker, who's like a kid trying to operate in this like world of adults. He's got characters like the fucking Hulk, who's like, whose abilities
So
above and beyond.
emotionally unstable.
Well, yeah, look, don't you know people like that? I know I do.
Your co-host is one of
Don't
those people.
don't you know people that live in your mirror that are exactly like that?
I will put on purple pants and I will fuck this place up. So help me God. I'll do it.
Stan Lee, you can put Stan Lee in that same Mel Brooks, Trey Parker, Matt Stone school. The best of them do it without you realizing it, and then all of a sudden, when it matters, that's when it bubbles up to the top. That's
what's really beautiful about it, and I've always for years as an easy talking point is I am really the sum total of a lot of outside elements. Obviously, there's you and Dad and Mom.
Don't blame me,
but I can't help it. But also, there's like characters like, and again, I mean it quite sincerely. He's one of my favorite fictional characters ever. But the Ninja Turtle Raphael is this always pissed character. But in the comics, in the cartoon, and in the movies, the common thread is motherfucker always gets over it. He always comes through in a clutch. He always admits when he's fucking wrong. And there's a weird...
You know why, though? It's because...
He's wrong? First of all...
Raphael's got the smallest turtle penis you have ever seen. Nobody is that angry all the time.
If you knew that there was no chicks or fellas other than your siblings to get it on with, you'd be pissed too. Just because Leo's like, I'm a fucking samurai asshole, and Mikey's too dumb to know he has a dick that's the size of his torso, and Donnie's pining over a human, doesn't mean Raph's wrong for being like, this sucks.
First of all, Raphael dresses like a fucking flasher as it is. So to tell me, oh, Raphael is the more God, oh, he's got the flashing. I know, no one wants to see that, bro.
It's what's amazing about
just real
it
quick,
is
Cousin Paul makes a really good point in chat. Paul says, that he's always felt that Marvel was more relatable and groundbreaking in terms of social issues. And you know what? You make a really good you could make a really good case for that, Paul. I mean,
lately,
there are certain things.
I would say lately, going from the age of Stan Lee, kind of leading that conversation.
Sure.
Lately, it's been a little bit more like the most recent South Park specials, where it's more overt, it's less the subtext, and it's more like Riri Williams is the new Iron Man. Isn't that great? She's young and black.
Yeah, but that's industry wide though.
Of course,
and that's the thing. Like there are like ham-fisted attempts all over the place right now of like rejiggering the stats, which look, and ham-fisted is a term that I love using because it's such a descriptively accurate term, because what they're doing is actually it's a good thing, right?
Yeah.
It's a good thing. So Marvel, and this isn't exactly the conversation that I was originally having, but it's fine. So Marvel came out recently with characters literally named Snowflake. Yeah. And what was the other character? A Snowflake and like some other nonsense like
it's eluding me.
What it really was, it was like two generations beyond those that they're writing about, trying to write about them.
Yeah,
if this was Mad Men, this would be a room full of Madison Avenue, wise guys sitting around trying to write copy for pantyhose or for lipstick. You're like, bitch, what are you doing trying to be eloquent about a product that you have no knowledge about. You've never used them. They're not for you. Why in the world would you even attempt to do that? You're doomed for failure. And that again, ham-fisted approach that Marvel took. They're like, oh look, see, we know what's going on. Like, no,
Yeah.
drunk uncle. The effort is appreciated, but you know what? This is why new blood is important.
That girl
And
Carla down the road has the ding dong, but we don't mention it because it's a person too. I kind of think he's delicious. Be like, damn.
yeah, but what bathroom are they gonna? Shut up, drunk uncle. Shut up. Nobody cares what you think.
What do you think though? Because there is a group of people that again mean well, but maybe don't see enough examples. There are some people that feel like Matt and Trey specifically,
Yeah.
or people like them shouldn't be the people talking about certain social issues. Now they've done it so long, they're almost grandfathered in because they've been fighting those fights of even something like the prejudices based around black culture. That's something they tackled with a character literally called Token. And that joke has been and will be funny for a million different reasons throughout the show's run.
A joke like that is actually way more sophisticated than that we give it credit for, like at a glance, because it's not even so much nice. It's not even so much talking about black culture or the black experience or any of those things. And you know why? Because Matt Parker and Trey, they're not black. So for them to attempt to do that would be disingenuous and would in all likelihood fall on its fucking face. Rightfully so. Instead, they approached it from like the white, somewhat entitled perspective, and they're like, this is what we do. Like their camp, right? So sometimes you have to talk for your team, right? For lack of a better term. Like that's the camp that they were in, that they were born into. No choice of their own. Nothing that they did like, cornered them in a certain way. They speak in their authentic voice. What they're giving us are their opinions. Now, I happen to agree with like 99.9% of their opinions, and 100% of the time, it is funny as hell to me. Anyone who's ever worked with me for like 5 minutes knows if you're catching a cup of coffee and I'm in the room and I start a conversation with, did you see South Park? Or did you see Family Guy? Like, if this was like 10, 15 years ago, just start easing out of the room slowly, because I'm not going to stop. I will have given you a breakdown beat by fucking beat to the episode where if you hadn't seen it, don't watch it. Like, save yourself the half hour and the commercial time. You no longer need to watch it. I would have given it to you. Like, you could take the test.
Oh, that is amazing. And we get the wrap it up alarm back after a long hiatus. Fantastic. My brother, I think it's very important to talk in authentic voices, and my authentic voice wants to make some money. And this show would be impossible.
That's the realest shit Charlie's ever said.
With our wonderful, wonderful sponsors, including one of my absolute favorite bands, and that, of course, is Bad Mary. You can find them online at badmary.com. You can find them on all the important social medias over at Bad Mary Band. You can hear them on every single streaming service. And in my opinion, because I just said it, money's the most important thing. You can support them financially.
The only color that matters is green.
Green. You can support them financially over on patreon.com/Bad Mary. So make sure you do it, suckers. You need tunage. Bad Mary should be that tunage.
Damn straight. And when you need a little bit of entertainment that comes from the other direction, go ahead over to Facebook Gaming and do yourself a favor. Check out Sergeant Finesse. 2 streams a day, outstanding gaming content, supporter games, giveaways, contests. Do not be a sucker. Check him out today. You can actually find him on Facebook Gaming, and don't tell anybody I told you this, but you can even find him on Twitch because he's playing WoW like a monster lately. But do me a favor. Either way, throw him a like, a follow. Consider becoming a supporter. If you need a pick-me-up, do yourself a favor. Follow the White Rabbit over to Sneak energy.com. Use code SARGE at checkout there. If you're looking for some fresh new gear, ooh, the mind's got it wrong, but eventually the world will end. Go ahead over to geeksunleashed.com. Use code SARGE when the Sarge is on deck. You salute. GG, son. Charlie.
Yes?
What else are you thinking about this week?
Oh, baby, my dear brother, I want you to start my time because I got thoughts. There it is.
I didn't press anything. There's no button.
It's true. It's totally fake, guys. This is all make-believe. Also, I want to give a special shout-out to our comment section over here on Facebook.com/US Comics HQ and our YouTube, US Comics HQ also as well as. They threw out, you mentioned that you're like an octopus regrowing parts. They want you to know that that's a starfish, my dear, dear, delicious brother.
Tell them to shove that up there, starfish, all right? Nobody asked. Nobody corrects me. Nobody.
No, not on his damn show, ladies and germs. So, John, what is your favorite number? Yeah, what's your favorite number?
Like from like 1 to infinity?
1 to infinity. What is your favorite number?
Deck of cards.
You have all the numbers in the world, my friend.
I'm going to go with number 21, Roberto Clemente.
Respect. Number 21, a wonderful number, which is preceded by what number?
20?
Oh, yeah. What's it
Don't
followed
test my
by?
math skills in line.
What? It goes 20, 21, and
22, like this episode.
Wrong! It goes all the way back to goddamn 1, like it's going from season to season, because Action Comics and Detective Comics, which is well in the thousands, are going back to 1. Volume 1, because it's not mean enough in comic books to have like 37, my favorite number, 37 Daredevil number 1s. Here comes Daredevil, here goes Daredevil, there was Daredevil, Daredevil doesn't pay alimony. You sons of bitches, stop just calling it fucking Action Comics if you want to renumber it. Issue 1037 starts volume 1 of Action Comics again. How fucking dare you?
Why?
Because I have a reason, John. The people have a reason. The theory is people like number 1s. They like to jump in. It's why the comic books for so long have felt the need to be like brand new number 1 because we're assholes. Yeah, we're restarting, only this time it's not even a fucking restart. They're still going, except also as well as they're starting again and again.
Is it the title that is like a new title, or they're just like...
No, Action Comics. You know Action Comics.
Haven't they heard of decimal points? Like, that's what we do. Chapter 2. Come on. If you're going to steal from us... do it right. Like, we're just giving away these great ideas.
Drives me insane. Action Comics and Detective Comics go back to volume 1. And again, the logic is people don't want to jump in halfway. And it had me thinking about what we were just talking about, which was like this notion of what should DC do? Should you restart? Should you not? And it made me realize something that I think is going to be really uncomfortable for a lot of people. Hopefully not for a while. But the same way that we had to endure like Electric Superman and then New Superman number 1 and then the New 52 and then Post-Crisis and then Pre-Post-Crisis.
At least those were new titles, though. Those were new books.
At least, but it had me starting to think, when we were talking before about Marvel, specifically the cinematic universe, the movies have had some dealings with this. Like we had Fantastic Four, then we were like, fuck that. Fantastic Four, huh? And then we were like, I don't know. That guy should be Captain America though. And then we said like, what if it was a horror movie, but halfway through early production, we get scared and we make it this just terrible piece of shit.
Except we didn't get scared of like, because it was a horror movie, because that would have been at least a good horror movie.
Been, we got scared because it sucked balls. And not the fun way. I can't help but smile at our comment section. The preferred settings, you guys can vote. BlizzXX letting us know that Johnny has the better set and mine's just controlled chaos. But given both love, we love you right back. But here's my the mind-blowing thing. At some point, people aren't going to be excited about that new number 1. Right now, the new
like right now.
Well, the new Fantastic Four is promised to us, and I'm excited. I'm like, okay, they've done so much right. Can you please
Cinematically, you're
launch
talking about.
cinematically? Can you
Sure, yeah.
please launch the first family of Marvel? Please give me something that I want to. But one day,
I
it
know
may
Paul
not
agrees
be.
with us.
It may, it may not be a decade from now. It might be 15. At some point, they're going to say, we're starting the Marvel Cinematic Universe over. Here's your new Tony Stark, ladies and gentlemen. We're doing the first one. Remember where he like gets shit in his chest and he builds a suit? That's going to happen. I do not see the writing on the wall where this train gets to go on forever.
I
There's
think
already
Favreau would put on his heavy armor, his
bum
heavy Mando armor,
bum
be like,
bum bum bum.
this is not the way. I don't know,
I
man.
hate
That's
to I
that's
hate to
hard to
envision it,
fathom.
but one day we could be in a world where Favreau where Favreau jumps ship, which part of me would be like, hey, Warner Brothers Discovery, how about you hire people we know are good? There is
Well, like
this.
you don't start over. It's like turning around and changing direction. We're like we were getting where we were going. You're like, nah, son, I need some chips. We need to gas up, and I think we're gonna take the other route.
Bum,
Forget
bum,
about
bum, bum,
forget
bum, bum,
about
bum.
GPS.
Uh,
What are
you,
you doing?
I mean, but honestly, is that just a fear for? Do you think that they're gonna? Here's the thing. Here's my thinking. Because I was like, has anyone just kept fucking going? And Rocky, right, has been going on a long time. They're now doubling back, and he's like, how about Rocky 3 again? Or Rocky 4, rather. We're
Yeah.
going to get that fucking robot out of here.
Yeah,
And I'm
but
all for a
director's
director's
cuts, you
cut.
can't include that.
Sure.
That's like as an aside.
So then you get to Star Wars, where you're like, well, Star Wars is still going. Star Wars has been fucking around
Sure.
forever. Star Wars does not have 30 films under its belt. Like, at
lot,
some
though.
point, are you going to do like old man Spider-Man? Like, I'm not talking about just recasting. I'm saying, do you really think that there's a world in which when we're old and gray and there's little Johns running around or something, and no, I don't mean Robin Hood's best friend, are we going to still be like, this shit started when I was fucking younger? Or I just don't see it happening. People are already pissed scared of Eternals. They're like, they're going too weird. At some point, are people not going to miss Steve Rogers, Tony Stark, Peter Parker? Because at some point, I think we're going to grow out of all of it, and it's kind of unprecedented.
Well, again, Star Wars is probably the best example. I think you touched on that already because look what Star Wars is doing. So you have like the Skywalker saga of films, but also as well as you have as much as it pains me to say, take the expanded Star Wars universe the books gave us and
I don't
put
want to.
them. Don't throw them away.
I love
Put them
them
up
so
on the
much.
shelf. I mean, there are there are some gems in there, but they've established like, look, that's not canon, right? We're talking about canon in this case, but they are giving us, they're tacking on to the canon, and they're doing the in between shots. Now, the way that they're doing it between animated series, and they're doing it extended live action series now, which is like unfreaking believable. But they're doing it in comic books. Like I've said it here before, and I'll say it again. Boba Fett to me was a bitch. He was I will crack him open like a tuna can level. Can't do shit right. Hey, he's valuable to me. Yeah, well, too bad you suck at your job, Boba Fett. Like he was a punk bitch. And I know I'm making several enemies, and I apologize for that. I'll apologize to you in person shortly. But I'll say this.
Dad bod Boba is the fucking man.
Prior to his starring turn in the Mando season 2, he got a redemption. Like basically Boba was on Tosh.0 and he got a redemption. He's like, all right, Afro Ninja, are you ready to try it again? They gave Boba a glow up in the comic book series. I'm like, oh shit, Boba did this? Oh shit, Boba did that? Oh, Boba narked about this, that, and the other thing? oh, he really got this guy or that gal. So Boba, he got the they boom pushed out the dent in his melon, and they shined up his armor real nice, and they put him right back up in the forefront. I'm like, I don't even care if you got a rocket that fires. I want that toy. Like, for me, that's how they did it, and they did it with these in between little wedges of entertainment.
You bring
So
up
I
a really
think
good
that
point, though.
I think that they absolutely can do that in the Marvel world.
But Boba Fett
Yeah.
left for you and for me and for some people
And
a lot to be desired. And empty stomach now for poor Sarlacc. I feel
He's like,
bad
"Ugh,
for the
I'm fucking starving. I live in the desert, motherfucker. They don't do Grubhub out here. Tatooine desert, motherfucker.
It's a long time ago. My question is, could you get away with that for eventually they're going to want some Iron Man money? I really do.
Sure.
I can't shake that. So would you accept
What's wrong
another
with War
actor in
Machine?
a prequel? Or you fully believe that we're going to get
Doesn't
to
have
live
to be
in a
live
world?
action, especially nowadays.
That's a good point too. You don't think that there would be any desire for people to be like, yeah, but now technology's better. I just feel like the money people are going to force their hand. I have very little reason to believe that they won't ruin a good thing. Or
it's a multifaceted situation because there's a lot of the possibilities, right?
a lot of variables.
I can see a scenario where worst case scenario. We'll go down this route.
Yes.
Worst case scenario, the current phases that are in development or have been sitting on a COVID dusty shelf waiting to be released, they don't do as well as expected or as things had been done prior.
There's a girl in this movie. Kill it with fire.
So they say, oh, well, now we've got the green light. Almost like there are some people there rubbing their hands together, like maniacally villain style. Like, oh, we get to start over again. But it would require such a fundamental failure in revenue. Like it would have to be one.
That's
of those,
a good point too.
It doesn't pay. Like it's costing us more than the quadrillions that we're going to make off of it, and I don't see that happening, especially now that they've got this, like, you know, it's like they get the first taste for free, and then you come back, I'm here for some more Marvel, baby.
It really has become a weird
Even
standard.
the exterior stuff is benefiting. Shit that Marvel didn't make is benefiting by association. I'm looking at you, Sony. I'm looking at you, Universal. So I don't think that that's a realistic concern. More to the point, and you broached the subject earlier, so I'll give you credit while still stealing the point.
Damn it.
They have the Doctor Strange is opening up a door, the same door that Flash is assumably opening up for DC, where they're saying, like, hey, elephant in the room. We know that you saw these other flicks or this other content. We know. It's like you meet the, in our case, the most beautiful woman in the world, and you're like, I know I'm not your first. I get it. But you don't talk about it. You just leave it the fuck alone. So, what Marvel is doing...
analogy was, it just speaks to
I'm just speaking my personal opinion. Look, I got plans at 9:30, so we got to wrap the show up. That's my point. So, my point is this. Doctor Strange, again, just from Marvel, Doctor Strange is now opening this door where he's saying, like, look, we can point to all these other things that have existed. We can have 42 Spider-Men and 19 Gwen Stacy's, and like maybe we're just gonna keep the Fantastic Four. Like, honestly, that's a moment,
dude.
I'm like petrified, but so want it to happen. Give me Chris Evans. I'm gonna say this: it's like talking about a perfect game while it's happening. I don't want to be the asshole that makes it not happen. Almost says this: if we get Chris Evans in an upcoming Marvel movie, I don't know. There are some ones that are talking about multiverses. I don't know. But we get a Chris Evans appearance, and he's not playing Captain America. That's who you are. if we get a Chris Evans Marvel appearance not playing Captain America, I'm gonna stand up in the theater and be like, I fucking told you so.
I cannot get
It
out
would
of
be
my
amazing.
head. I cannot get out of my head. You see America's ass. Spider-Man gets thrown through a building. Are you okay?
Fucking DeGrom is like 8 1/3 perfect. He's throwing straight fire. Nobody's even gotten a hard foul off of him. And Charlie's gonna stand up in the fucking first balcony and be like, "Hey, it's a perfect game." Fucking Charlie, shut up.
Sorry, I can't. I refuse on this side of the fucking of the stadium stampede.
Mute your mic.
I'm
Say
that
it.
guy.
The lip readers can
I'm not
the
saying
lip readers can get it.
I'm not saying that they're going to do it, but in my mind, the fantasy booking, because all fantasy booking is safe. The fantasy booking is you see like Spider-Man go through a building. You see America's ass. Peter jumps up and he goes like he grabs him, spins him around. We see Chris Evans' beautiful face, and he just says something along the lines of like, "Oh my God, I'm so glad it's you. You have to help me. Fucking the lizard's eating my baby." And this motherfucker yells "Flame on." I will shit my pants.
Folks,
I will shit my
we often
pants.
talk about what's happening behind the scenes at US Comics. And clearly that Charlie and I are the two-headed monster at its head. We've never clearly established roles, like who does what. This episode 22 of Chapter 2 US Comics Cast, Charlie has clearly shown us who is writing the dialogue.
There's not to totally expose
like
us.
in the fucking playground on the slide. He's like, and then he turns him around, and then he also says as well as,
just for the record, this piece of shit CEO of the company. Every week we talk about show titles and the bios for them, and this asshole insists upon asking me. It's not even the fucking proper word. It's not a proper sentence. He just writes ideas ? No, motherfucker. I don't have any ideas. This is what I do. I talk on this bullshit. I fucking produce the show. I edit shit. I put together hype videos. I'm on Insta goddamn gram. I do not write for this product. Why do you insist upon asking me if I suddenly develop the fucking wordsmith shit?
Charlie's like Reed Richards. He's like, hey, Thing, can you stretch your fucking arm across the room and grab the remote? No, Reed, I can't. Oh, okay, I'll do it. Yeah, I do that every once in a while. So what? Son of a bitch. Look, I think
it is
Marvel
wildly
has
unfair.
literally, they have, they have the drawing board is completely blank. They can take their extended universe anywhere that they want to go. Matter of fact, now that they opened up a storytelling venue that who could have seen coming even 2-3 years ago with their TV series. Originally, I thought, man, like I understand that Disney Plus needs content, but the Marvel series, they're not gonna be standalone. You're not gonna go back and like, oh, let me watch the first season of this. And some of these series might not even have numbered series. It's like, no, that was that, and then we're moving on. That content, John thought, are just gonna be bridges to the next thing. The next time we're gonna see these characters. Wrong. Like my man Charlie Murphy said, wrong. So no, these things are completely viable, entertaining vehicles that absolutely do stand on their own 2 feet. The fact that they simultaneously carry us over, that they continue this narrative, I think is pretty fucking brilliant. And granted, it ain't Shakespeare. And there are some Marvel movies that are head and shoulders above other Marvel movies. Like it's not like a universal.
Some of
Oh,
them
it's a
I
Marvel
wrote.
movie.
A few of those fuckers I wrote. I'm like, it's Ant-Man where he get little, and then the next one he gonna get big.
Some of those Ant-Man ant names could have come from the mind of Charlie. Be like, I'm gonna call this one Anthony. Paul Rudd, you son of a bitch. No, no. In all seriousness, though, I think some of them are absolutely far, far superior than others, and they have more replayability.
Man,
But the entire narrative is going in one direction. So yeah, I think that you can jump in and tell like these little use the Star Wars model and kind of plug and play. And also when you're opening up this multiverse thing, there are certain the what ifs I'm really excited for
oh
because
my
I
god,
love those
yeah, I'm
comics
super excited
growing
for
up.
the.
And they're gonna open up like what if uh um Agent Carter, like her turn with the shield, what if that becomes like I need to see more of that?
Well, that's, you bring up a good point, and I got to shout
Thank
out
you.
again to Paul, because talking about fucking fan fiction, if Paul says in our chat over on our YouTube channel, if they are both enjoying multiverses, then perhaps Marvel and
Paul.
DC's cinematic universes can cross over. Holy shit. Now, let me just explore this as time runs out. The comics did it. So there
Comics
is
have done it more than once.
absolutely a chance. And the fact that it's never occurred to me that at some point, 5 years, 2 years, 10 years from now, it might just be like, hey guys, there's a rumor that fucking, again, if it was going to break John's heart, it would be Tom Welling. But let's say it's Henry Cavill. Henry Cavill's going to be in a DC property. And then that motherfucker shows up like in the Spider-Man universe to smack Peter around. Holy fucking shit. The idea
That's
of
one
that.
One of the most famous crossovers was
And it's like
Spider-Man versus Superman.
And again, there's going to be a billion people that hear this or see it, and they're gonna go like, "Bah, fuck off! Never gonna happen. Never gonna happen." We've
Never say
fucking
never.
and we've seen it. Like I literally started this topic dreading the next 15 years, but the truth is, if that money started to dry up even a little, or if the right person wound up, Henry Cavill gets signed to play Supreme. For Image, and then Marvel wants a little bit of that Henry Cavill action, so he plays whoever the fuck, and
what
suddenly
if Henry Cavill plays every Superman analog character? Holy
we
shit.
have fucking a new fly-in, and we have Henry Cavill in black. Nope, that's a bad idea. Let's not do
Charlie
all.
just got canceled from US Comics.
Let's not do all of them. Just a lot of them. But more than anything else, it speaks to, and again, this wasn't really where I thought this was going to go, but ultimately it does speak to the future potential being great. Like there is very much a chance
they can go anywhere they want.
If Disney was as smart as they have been in the last decade or so, they kind of needed this what if brand to test the waters on things, because if you do, what if Deadpool was a founding member of the X-Men, and suddenly everyone's like, holy shit, we knew we wanted this Wolverine and Deadpool thing, and I would argue that, Ryan Reynolds isn't going to want to get into ridiculous shape forever. And with Deadpool, it's easier. You have a stuntman doing all the hard part. You have him making the jokes.
Batista's always like, I'm not taking my shirt off anymore. I'm 100 years old. Leave me alone.
God bless Dave that he was like, you know what sounds great? Not fucking being half naked on screen forever. I'm fucking super rich.
Come on, Dave. Man up. You're wearing paint.
I disagree. Dave spent years entertaining me in booty shorts, and then he painted himself up. Respect.
Leviathan is a founding member of my squad, son. So don't talk to me about Dave Bautista.
That's N64 No Mercy shit right there. Leviathan is part of John's Vanguard. One of the best ideas that's not real, but in my head, fucking totally exists.
There's an alternate universe. There's an alternate reality where that actually happened.
My meandering point is just the possibility when you take into account not all of it has to be live action or the multiverse or all of it. You really, just the multiverse allows for that weird time displacement shit, but in a fun way. Because unless your whole shit's about time travel, I didn't like when they did in the Marvel movies, but the multiverse is a whole different fucking beast. It's a whole different beast. And it's an awesome one.
We've made this point before, and actually the Marvel time travel plot point really illustrates it beautifully. They're like, oh, let's travel to a point where like 3 of the stones are in New York right now in the same, or you fucking go like the day after Thanos snaps and they're together. Yeah, you can go wherever you want, guys. Fuck.
Oh, God, John, you would be that member of the Avengers the rest hated. Because you would just be like, listen here, fuckbag. Yeah. That doesn't make any goddamn sense.
Nobody wants a sarcastic Avenger. Nobody.
Disagree. Nobody. John the Avenger is in my multiverse for my dear brother, the fucking man, the myth, the legend, the Ayatollah of podcast roller. He is your CEO of US Comics. He is the greatest big brother in all the multiverse. He is John Rivera. I, of course, am the other co-host, the COO. I am Charlie Rivera, and we couldn't do any of this.
Also a guy.
We couldn't do this, but I also exist. We couldn't do any of this without you guys commenting, subscribing, hitting that like button, hitting that share button. Follow us on all social media. Join in. Look at our old posts. Look at our old character designs. Before you know it, it's going to be time that we're going to be asking for a lot more than this easy shit. So do it now. But my dear brother, there is only one way that we end this and every episode in this universe and all of the others. And how is it? How can the people
know? It is so simple. First, you got to turn the power on. Then you got to turn the volume up. Then you got to tune Bad Mary in. Open up the window wide and scream out into the night sky. Save me, Space Girl. We are.
Disappear. 7 million people and I'm only watching you, yeah. You trying to catch me, you know I'm gonna lose, yeah. You get too close to me, you know I'm on a cinch, yeah. Boy, you best back off cause I'm a motherfucking ninja. Oh no, oh no. Because I'm not there, oh no, oh no. Because I'm not here, watch me disappear. Just like a loser, but now I'm back and you know I'm on a school, yeah. I'm on a hunt you down, I'm gonna make you cringe, more than you can handle. I'm a motherfucking ninja. Oh no, oh no, because I'm not there. Oh no, oh no, because I'm not here. Watch me disappear.